It's hard for us to raise our hands. Kings is like,
Oh, really?
it's a rough year. It's been a rough couple of years. I'm a huge Kings fan, guys. I'm from Sacramento, huge basketball fan, love basketball. Mad props to the Warriors fans. You make me look good. So, it's been rough. Anyways, had a lot of fun with the kids this morning. We talked about confirmation and stuff like that. I love basketball. As you can see, March Madness. I've been playing basketball since I could grab a ball. Oh, Riley, you're front and center. Good to see you. Matt, I didn't even realize you were here. Is this your sponsor?
Yes.
And your name?
Daniel.
Freddie.
Nice to meet you, Brady.
Nice to meet you too.
Lived in Sacramento, but wasn't a Kings fan.
Yeah. Well, you know, guys, I've been playing ball since I was probably 5 or 6. I've been playing horse with my dad in the front of the house, and he used to beat me a lot. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but I've gotten better as time's gone by. You know, when I was a little kid, I used to just play for fun and stuff like that. But then, when I was about 13, kind of the age of confirmation, I really started to pick up basketball a lot. And just because of what was going on in my life, I started to play more and play more. And then throughout high school, basketball became a center point of my life. And I just kept playing. And it wasn't until about 10 years later until I really realized what basketball was. Now, by no means am I any good. I mean, I just play a lot. It's not like I didn't even play in high school. I didn't play for the team. I wasn't that good. I didn't play in college. But I just played for fun, you know, pick up games. But basketball, I hate to say it, but basketball is kind of like a first love. It's kind of like the first love I've ever had. And it was been something that's helped me get through life. You know, basketball, I'll talk a little bit more in a second, but basketball has meant more than anything. And it's just a game. But it's more than a game because basketball, I think, is about 3 things. And that's what I wanted to bring to our talk with confirmation today, in your role as sponsors and as coaches. Basketball, first, is about practice. You have to practice a lot in order to be good. And, you know, we talked earlier this morning with confirmation students about how Steph Curry used to practice without a ball all the time. Because basketball is not just about the ball. It's a matter of, you know, who you're with, who's on your team, how do you work together, how do you work together with your coach, with your sponsor. You know, how does that relationship work when you're building a giant marshmallow thing and you're like trying to tower, right? How high did you guys go? You guys make it pretty high? That high?
Yeah.
It's Anthony, right?
Yeah.
Anthony, yeah. We had lunch together. And Riley had lunch together too. You know, basketball is 3 things. It's a matter of practicing, it's a matter of having good coaches, and it's a matter of passing. Because the whole reason around practice is you're continuously trying to get better. We'll talk in a second about choices. I relate confirmation, the practice part of basketball is about the choices. Because you're constantly practicing day in and day out the choices that you're having to make. You know, after practice you get into coaching. And the coaching is where the sponsors come in. Because you know great teams. Every team I've ever played on and all the teams I love, none of the great teams, they all have really good coaches. You know, when you think about the Warriors, you've got Kerr. He's one of the best players, and he's becoming one of the best coaches of all time. You think about the teams of the Lakers and the Bulls. You know, they had Phil Jackson, and actually, yeah, and, you know, they just had great coaches. You know, my college, I went to St. Mary's College in the Bay Area. We got a great basketball team, and they got Randy Bennett there, and he's been great. All about good coaching. But the key to Catholic faith, the key to being a sponsor, the key to growing up in confirmation is a matter of passing the ball. And I'll get to that in just a second. But we think about March Madness, there's a lot going on right now. Anybody doing any of the brackets? Do you have any bracket friends? Yeah? Cool, Scott. Who do you got winning? UCLA? Ooh, okay, all right. You got Duke winning. Oh, yeah. So, guys, the two questions that I would throw for us here is, basketball, to me, I told you a little bit about why it was such a first love, and I told the kids a little bit about my story. But the reason why I started to play basketball so much was because it was kind of like a coping mechanism for me to be able to get through a lot of stuff. And it was an opportunity for me to kind of just let my mind be free. My story in a nutshell is, and why I'm here today, and why faith is so important, is that when I was 9 years old, my family was in a really serious car crash. There was a drunk driver about 40, 50 miles per hour. He ran in and hit our car, and then since that day, my mom lived in bed in pain for about 18 years. She lived in a lot of chronic pain from the car accident. She had 8 herniated discs, and then her health started to get worse and worse and worse. Her health turned into pulmonary embolisms, and then it turned into cancer. She had 3 different types of cancer. She had 2 different types of colon cancer, and then a rare pseudonoxonomia, peritoneal, abdomen cancer. So my whole life, up when I was about 9 or 10, I started to take care of my mom a lot, and I kind of turned into a caregiver as I got older. But basketball became a crucial part of my life because it allowed me that opportunity to just be free and kind of just let my thoughts just kind of go and just play. Just be totally just going and having fun. And this ball right here, the reason why I didn't bring a nice clean ball is this is actually a ball that I've been playing with since about senior year of high school. It's pretty beat up. I mean, you can see it's it's dirty. It's got my name on here and my phone number in case I lost it. Back when it's gone through me through all the ages. Want to hang on? Yeah, definitely. So, basketball's meant a lot. And so with this, we think about moments in our lives where things kind of influenced us. I didn't know until about 10 years later how basketball was going to influence my life, because basketball, I talk about basketball, it's weird, but basketball really is what got me through so much. And on top of that was prayer, and was God, and faith. And, the one piece that I didn't tell you about my story is that I grew up pretty well off, and the medical bills started to pile up for my mom. She went in and out of the hospital and saw doctors a lot. In 2008, when things were a little rough, some of the younger people you might kind of remember, but in 2008 things were a little rough here in California, and my family actually went through foreclosure and bankruptcy and kind of went homeless for a little while, for a couple months. Wasn't really bad, lived with friends and stuff, but just that feeling of not knowing what it was like without home. And so, basketball and faith and prayer were huge parts that got me through that. And I kind of talked a little bit with the kids earlier, but think about these 2 questions. Whether it's basketball, whether it's confirmation, how will this experience affect you in 10 years? Confirmation in 10 years. I talked with the kids this morning. I didn't really know what confirmation meant and felt like in the moment. I was kind of just going through the motions. I was totally all about God, and I loved it, and I knew it was about progressing with my faith and getting older and growing up and keeping God close to me, but I didn't really know. And so I talked with the kids this morning about being present in that moment. When you're going through confirmation, when the bishop comes to you and you walk down the aisle and the bishop anoints you with the chrism and says, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. That's a huge moment. It's something that I didn't even recognize how important that is. And I hope the sponsors, after today, get a chance to, talk with your students and kind of let them know how important and what the meaning of confirmation means to you. Because I could say it all day long, but coming from the sponsor to the student, I would encourage you after today to share with the student, what does it mean to you? So it's an interesting thing. So when we look at, how will this experience, say confirmation, how will it solidify our values? So with that, there's a quote from Anne Frank. Anne Frank was a little Jewish girl that wrote the Young Diary of a Little Girl. And she lived during the time of the Holocaust. She said, "How true Daddy's words when he said, all children must look after their own upbringing. Parents can only give good advice or put them in the right paths. But the final forming of a person's character lies in their own hands." When I think about this quote, it's like, well, what does that mean? Essentially, what that quote's telling me is it's kind of bringing together all those three pieces that were just in the last couple slides. How will this experience, how will confirmation influence me in the next 10 years? How is it shaping my values? And I think when you bring it all together, the biggest word in that quote is character. How will this confirmation influence me to make good choices, to live with good habits, to be a good person? Anybody know where this picture's from? Training Day, maybe? Remember the Titans, right on. I wish I had candy to give you or something. Do we have marshmallows or extra marshmallows? We'll get something. And your name one more time? Omar? Brown. Cool. Good stuff. We'll get you something for that. That's a good guess. Cool. So guys, like I said, sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. I got a couple stories about practicing. Because there's practicing, there's coaching, and there's passing. With confirmation and practicing, the first one comes from a girl, Tiffany. Now, I'm glad that I'm not going to tell you because there was juicy details, but in our first talk with the kids, we talked about a first kiss. Well, so you can ask the kids, and we can talk about that later. But you missed a lot of good jokes. But there was this girl, Tiffany. I had a huge crush on this girl, Tiffany. She was so cute. I met her in college. And I literally thought, there's been two girls in my life that I thought I could actually marry. Kara, and she got married. So that one's done. And Tiffany, this gal, she's been engaged for a little while. So this girl, Tiffany, now I live in Sacramento, and I made a choice to drive to Los Angeles because I wanted to tell this girl, Tiffany, in person, that I really liked her. So I spent the whole weekend, I drove down there, it was like 7 hours. I drove down, and I go there and I hang out with her the whole weekend. And then, ironically enough, I go to Mass with her family on Sunday. Like, she introduces me to like the aunts, the cousins, the uncles, the crazy aunts, and all the grandmas. I'm like, I'm gonna marry this chick. I mean, this is crazy. So I get down there, and I tell Tiffany on the very last day, right before I was about to drive back up to Sacramento, spent the whole weekend, drove all the way down there. I said, Tiffany, I really like you. And then she looked at me and she said, that's great. Do you need some water for the road? Or do you need anything? Can I give you a hug? Take care. So we make these choices. And, some of them are funny choices. Like, I made a choice to drive down to LA. And that drive back up to Sacramento was a fantastic drive. We make choices. Another choice is, when I was in high school, another time, a lot of my stories come from this, but I was in high school and I was dating this girl, this great gal. I was at her place for her parents' house with her, and we were just hanging out, watching movies and this and that. My parents, they told me to be home by 10 o'clock. Now, I just got my driver's license, and for some of you, that's going to be coming around the corner, and it's going to be a fun time. So my parents said, hey, be home by 10. I'm like, got it, definitely, I'm home by 10. That's definitely going to happen. So it's 10 o'clock, and I'm still watching the movie with my girlfriend at the time, and I'm looking at the I'm like, it's fine. I'll be home in a couple minutes. The point of this choice is the fourth commandment that we live by is honor your father and your mother. It's a simple thing. My parents said be home by 10. I didn't get home until probably closer to 1, but I think I put 12 on there to be nice to make it look better. But, when you say be home by 10, be home by 10, maybe 10:05. But my point is honoring your father and your mother. It's a huge choice that we make. Another choice is Yuba City. Anybody know where Yuba City is? A couple? Cool. So, in 2008, when things were really tough with my family, I made another choice. This time it wasn't about girls. This time it wasn't about being home on time. This time it was about something deeper. Because my dad was struggling with his business. And, he was going to try to do everything that he could to keep our house and keep us moving forward through the foreclosure stuff. And so he decided to open up a new business in Yuba City, a new office. And I made a choice to help him out. But the choice, it wasn't easy and it wasn't fun. It was tough. I had a lot of friends that wanted to go hang out at Folsom Lake. I had friends that wanted to do stuff. But I made a choice because I knew it was the right thing to do. The choice was to help him with the business and help it grow and take care of that because we were trying to save our house. It's tough. I have a lot of deep scars from Yuba City because it was a really hard time. Driving, it was about an hour-ish from Sacramento, and it was like, I swear it was the hottest summer. It was all throughout the whole summer in between high school and college and stuff like that. And it was a choice I made, and it was a good choice. But it's a choice, a matter of doing the right thing, and whatever that looks like for you. The next one is actually just about high school. And that's kind of where we're getting into the next couple of years here. Some of you, Riley, you said you're a freshman at Oakdale, but some of us are going to get into high school the next couple of years. And it's choices around what are you going to get involved with and do, what are you going to be with and not be with. For me in high school, I shared with the kids this morning about surrounding yourself with good people. I put a lot of good people around me, but more importantly, I got involved in some good stuff. I was in FFA, I showed pigs and did that kind of stuff. I was in sports. I wasn't basketball, but I guess I wished I was in basketball. But I played a bunch of sports. I did leadership stuff, I did theater and acting. But it's, getting involved, I think, is a big part of that. So it's another choice that we make. So in terms of confirmation, why do we have this choice to get confirmed? When we think about why, it really comes down to an easy concept, and that's free will. That's kind of the easy answer. What does that mean? The choice of being confirmed and going through confirmation is really about making that connection with God. It's saying, yes, God, I'm with you, and I accept the Holy Spirit to kind of surround me, and I'm going to take the Holy Spirit with me, be sealed with that gift, and then start making the choices to love you back. Because one of the greatest things that God says and gives to us is He allows us to make the choice. It's not like life just happens and we just do whatever we want and then we all just go to heaven and that's chill. Life is a matter of making those daily choices because God loves us so much. He said, hey Freddie, I'm going to let you make the choice if you want to love me back. I'm going to give you the choice if you want to love me back. And that's one of the most powerful things a father could do for us. To say, hey, I love you so much, I'm going to let you decide if you want to love me. And that's what I think confirmation is about. And so it's about choices. The next piece, when we play basketball, appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan. When we play basketball, you practice a lot. You work on your dribbling, you work on your defense, work on some trick shots, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, basketball is a matter of good coaching. And coaching starts with surrounding yourself with really good people. And so that's where the first thing starts. So what I would encourage you as students is to really think a matter of, you're at a pivotal age now as we move forward, of the friends you hang out with. I shared this morning, really would encourage you guys with each other that are in the same confirmation class. It's a great way for you guys to stay really tight on beliefs and religion and having some really good core values together. But it's a matter of the friends that you surround yourself with. And this is actually at my college graduation a couple years ago. Some of my best friends. But something that I think has helped me in my whole life has always been I've surrounded myself with good friends. And I'd encourage you to think, who are your friends right now? Whether you're a sponsor, an adult, or a student. And the friends that are around you, how do they help you? How do they influence you? How do they support your values, your character? So, Nick, Cody, Brian, William, a part of my story I was going to share at the end, but I think I'll share it now. I shared with the students this morning. I think it resonates with the importance of surrounding yourself around good people. Because Nick, Brian, William, Cody, I learned the true importance of surrounding yourself around really good people in the last month. Because what I shared with the students this morning is that my mom's been sick for about 18 years. She's had a lot going on with her health. She's been fighting cancer since '09. And a month ago, my mom passed away. It was actually this day a month ago, February 18th. And it's been really tough. And these friends right here, I had 6 really close friends that were able to walk my mom down the aisle for the last time. So important, the friends that you put around you. On the next level, I'd say, so important, the coaches that you have in your lives, whether that's your sponsors or not. Sponsors, family, whatever coaches you can have, so important. And the role that you guys play is so important. And the other thing I'd say about coaches is there's also spiritual coaches. You think about priests. They're a spiritual coach because we go in like we did this morning for confession. Say, hey, here's what's going on, man. I made some mistakes. But a good coach recognizes the weaknesses and recognizes how they can make you better. And how they can make you better. And so with that, the last thing I'd say, this might be a little too early, but sponsors, I would really encourage you to help push this along with as your students get older. But the importance of mentors in your life. Whether you're an adult or a student, it's a really important thing for you to understand the level of how mentors can help you and choosing the right mentors. I have 2 really great mentors. They're very successful. Great, okay, that's awesome. But what does that mean? Well, that means they're very successful in their faith. That means they're very successful in their generosity and their giving. And they're very successful in how they just live life. Lena and Kelly and a couple other mentors I have. At 13, I didn't have mentors. I didn't have mentors until I was about 24. I'm 27 now. It takes a while, but adults, I'd really encourage you to stress the importance of mentors and having mentors that are faith-based. All of my mentors are very, very faith-based and help me in my life. So it's a matter of surrounding yourself with good people. So that really brings us to the call of action for today. There's players and coaches. So if you got a red shirt on, you're with me. If you don't, well, I guess you might be adults with red shirts on. Well, let's say we all got red shirts on. But in terms of the players, that's the students. That's Omar. That's, I remember it this morning. Hold on a second. I don't remember. Ramon. Cool. And Ryan. And Anthony. So guys, that's you guys. It's really simple. For the kids that are getting confirmed, it's very simple. Listen to God. That's what we talked about this morning. And love Love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. Just love. Listen and love. It's as simple as that. The coaches, it's simple, but it's a little bit more of a challenge. The coaches, it's really the sponsors in the room understanding your role. Now, I don't know the exact figure. I looked for it, but I couldn't get the exact number right. But I know I'm pretty close in the ballpark. For the adults in the room, this is a rough numbers. About 1.9 million students, or people, kids, get baptized every year in the United States. 1.9 get baptized. This is the importance of you as a sponsor. 1.9 get baptized. 1.7 each year go through reconciliation and communion. 1.9, 1.7, 1.5 million every year get confirmed. So out of the 1.9 that get baptized, 1.7 of them go through reconciliation, 1.5 of them go through confirmation. And this is right now why it's so important for you as a sponsor. After confirmation, 1.5 million of those that went through the process, 1.9 of them got baptized, 1.5 of them got confirmed. By the time that kid is 21, these are rough numbers, by the time that kid is 21, 100,000 of them remain in church. 1.9 get baptized, 100,000 by the time they're 21 stay going to church. What that means is your role is so pivotal in these children's lives. And here's how that looks. How do you do that? Well, first of all, there's a thank you to you because you're already doing a great job. You're doing a much, much greater job than almost anybody else because you're here today. That's huge. That's already like 99.9% better than everybody else. Sponsors and coaches, you guys, thank you because what you've done is you've planted the seeds. Now, the next 4 years is a matter of watering the soil. My biggest hope is that if we all walked out of here, that all you would do is just help take the kids to church or find a way for them to get to church. Because for me, the only thing that's ever been steady in my life, financially, my life's been here and here. Health, I'm writing a new chapter in my book now. I mean, my health with my mom and my family, it's completely different. My life's completely changed, and it's still been a struggle. I'm trying to figure all that out. But the one thing that's been steady in my life has been prayer and Mass. Church has been huge to me. It's kept me focused. You know, the only reason I'm going to share with you this next thing, it's not a matter of, hey, look at me. It's just a matter of how important church has been. I think I've missed 2 or 3 Sunday Masses in my entire life. And I was like deathly sick 2 or 3 times. I don't share that to be like, hey, oh yeah, there's my gold star. I share that to say it can be done. Because here's what I've heard. I've heard that, you know, maybe I'm busy with sports, or I get busy with this, I get busy with that. I'll skip this weekend so I can go next weekend, or we'll figure it out. The reason why Mass is so important is because of a few things, and that's these. That's the Eucharist, the Word, and the prayer. I start with the Eucharist, and I shared this morning with the kids. For some of us that are sponsors, it might even be a hard thing for us to kind of figure out. For a lot of us, you love being here, you're excited. And some of us are like, oh man, hopefully I can help. The biggest thing is just taking them to Mass or helping them find a way to get to Mass because of the Eucharist. If you think about the Eucharist, it is the pivotal, most amazing thing in our faith. Because the Eucharist is the body of God, of Jesus, entering into our body, and He is actually being in us in that moment, and we're able to live our lives as if God was within us. It's actually physically in us, because a lot of times people say, hey, I don't get anything out of church. I didn't get anything. This is actually a tangible piece that you do get, and it's feeding the soul so that you can help be a better child of God. And the other piece is the Word. I heard one of the best Catholic speakers of all time about 2 weeks ago, Matthew Kelly. And I'm continuously, anybody know Matthew Kelly, do that name? Cool, okay, yeah. He's amazing. If you ever get a chance to see him, it was the first time I ever did. He's phenomenal. But he's helped me after seeing him in the last couple of weeks. He reminded me of a couple things in terms of with Mass. He said, if you could just bring a journal to Mass, when you're in class, in confirmation students, if you're in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, yes! What's your name?
Tanya.
Tanya, can you stand up for us, Tanya?
This is the mass journal he's talking about.
You're amazing.
If you go to dynamiccatholic.com, you can get that.
Thank you.
I have one of those too. I didn't bring it today, but I have one.
Yes, so guys, you're hearing what I'm talking about. And so, he left me with this idea of bringing a journal to Mass and writing just one sentence down or one word down. What did I get from the Mass? Maybe it's just you listen to the gospel or the homily or a song and it just hit you. Because you're in class and we take notes because we have a test. But how many times do we see somebody taking a journal to church? And the other piece that he says, and this is something I'm starting to work on, I haven't done this yet, so full disclosure, I'm working on it. But he talks about reading the Bible each day for just about 10 minutes. Not forever, but just a chapter, maybe 10 minutes, maybe a couple verses. And focus just on the gospel, not the whole thing. Just Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Because in the gospel, that's really how to live. He's basically talking about how to live. That's what they share. So with that, prayer has been one of the most important things in my life. When we bring it all through basketball, there's the practice of making the right choices day to day. There's the coaching of having a good coach around you to help you and love you and support you. And the biggest thing that a coach can do is just help take the kids to church, because the kids can't sometimes go to church without a ride or a friend or support. And I'll be completely honest with you. There's been a lot of Sundays where I kind of was like, I don't know, I need to sleep, and my coach is what's really helped get me through a lot of that. And, a lot of it's been the things that I've been through with my faith and with God and with my mom and my dad. But my coach has really helped that. So with that, my coach has been my dad. He was my sponsor for confirmation. And he said something really powerful about 29 days ago. And I'm still trying to understand what that meant. Mom passed away February 18th on that Saturday. The Sunday we went to Mass, February 19th. We go through Mass, and it was a struggle. It was hard. It was hard to get through Mass. We're both crying, and it's tough, and trying to just get through Mass. And at the very end, we just sit down. And it's almost as if we were just exhausted. It was just like, we sit in the pew. And my dad, I think one of the best things about a coach is a sponsor, a coach doesn't tell you what to do. A coach guides you in the direction for you to figure it out on your own. Because I've never really liked somebody that's like, hey, you need to do this, do this, do this, do this. A coach guides you. And my dad said, he kept it really simple and really short. And he had a hard time just getting words out. He said, this is what all that Catholic education was for. That's all he said. And I didn't know what he meant in that moment. This is what all that Catholic education was for. And to be honest with you, I'm still trying to figure out what that means. You can maybe kind of think whatever that means for you. But my idea of what I think it is currently is the Catholic education. This is what all that Catholic education was for, was to help me understand the true meaning and belief in God. I talked with the kids this morning about something I've been doing the past month has been being more silent. finding that silence, because through prayer, I'm able to talk with my mom. It's been the craziest thing, because I was over at the cemetery the other day, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my mom, and I honestly had a full-on conversation with my mom. It was beautiful. I was smiling because it was amazing. I could actually hear what she was saying to me. The first thing she said was, "You need to eat." That's what she said to me through prayer. You need to eat. She always said you need to keep eating. The next thing she said to me is, "It's going to be okay." And then the next thing she said is, "I love you too." And then the next thing she said is, "I love you too." I was like, said I love her. She said, "I love you too." And I said, "I love you." She said, "I love you too." And then the last thing she said was, "It's okay, you're going to find a woman." And I laughed, and I was like, "Okay, thanks, Mom." And, you know, it's through prayer that we really have that connection. And, you know, this is what all that Catholic education was for. It's really, I think, means to me is solidifying that connection with God. And you, as a sponsor, you're that. You're everything for these students. And I would really just focus on the next 4 years. If you could just be there as much as you can for these students in the next 4 years, that would be a huge help as they move forward. You know, they might end up graduating and going to college or military or having kids, whatever. The next 4 years are the most crucial years as a sponsor, because these are the years that are going to help shape as they move forward. So, and then a couple things is just, you know, the greatest commandment is to love, and that's something I've talked about a lot. It's so important just to love yourself, love your neighbor. And then RAK is just a matter of random acts of kindness. You know, just doing good works for the world. That's kind of what I feel like it means to be Catholic and to love, is to just do good. And I talked with the students this morning. But the last thing comes down to passing the ball. Because basketball, I've been playing it a lot. It's a matter of setting the pick, going around, the point guard passes it through, you then get the ball, and then hopefully slam it down. No, I'm kidding. But basketball is a matter of passing. You know, you practice all day long. You practice to be good and make good choices and good decisions. And you have a good coach that helps you along the way. But at the end of the day, our faith is a matter of passing the ball. And it's a matter of giving. And the last thing is this. You know, I've had some really good people in my life that have helped me, that have just been great examples of what it means to be Catholic, and that's to be generous and to be giving. And I think as you progress with your confirmation, hopefully you start to see that being sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit means that every single day you're living as if you're giving of God, and God is kind of feeling God. People are feeling God through you. So I have a challenge, and this is how I'll end. I have a big challenge, and I'm going to need a volunteer to do this challenge, because the challenge is going to exemplify passing the ball. So hold on, Ryan, hold on. I'm going to give us a challenge. I want you to think, and this is just for the students, I want you to think, who in your life do you know that could really use a gift? Kind of think about it for a second. Who in your life do you know that could really use a gift? Because what I'm going to do in just a second is give you an opportunity to start the first step in your confirmation early. I know you guys are getting confirmed, I think March 29th. But the first step is to recognize the importance of your faith is a matter of giving. So is there a show of hands, anybody that thinks they might have somebody in their life that they feel like could really use a gift? Any of the kids being, definitely, yeah, cool. And what's your name? What's your name? Eric. Eric? Yeah. Eric, cool. Again, do you kind of have somebody in mind that you're thinking could really use something? Yeah. Cool. All right. So I'm gonna let you keep that ball. So Eric, here's what I want to do. I want to give you this ball, but more importantly, I want you to give this ball to that person that you think needs it. Because the ball, it's not a matter of you. It's a matter of who you give it to. Right? You think you can do that? Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. So guys, the biggest thing in terms of the faith is a matter of what Tina's been talking about all day. I've been hearing her through the window. She's been talking about basically leave to give, enter to learn, leave to serve. The whole thing, a matter of confirmation, a matter of moving forward, is serving others. So can we do one last thing? If you're going through the process of confirmation, can you please stand? And for the sponsors in the room, if we could just give them a huge round of applause. Students, can you do me a quick favor? Can you please stay standing and look your sponsor in the eye? Can you look him in the eyes and say, thank you? Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.